We're joined now by Dr. Amal Mudallali, who is a former permanent representative to the United Nations. She also served as vice president in the 75th session of the UN General Assembly, and joining us from Washington. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Your Excellency. First of all, let me just ask for your reaction to events of the last 72 hours.
Thank you very much for the interview first, Tom. And my first reaction was yesterday of shock, because we all were expecting, after all the diplomatic efforts with Hezbollah and all the appeals to them not to do anything and not to drag Lebanon into another new devastating war, that the attack started yesterday on Israel. So the problem with this is that Hezbollah was supposed to have given some guarantees that they will not do anything, that things are going to be calm in Lebanon. And then we ended up with this. And this is very, very bad for Lebanon. It's very bad for their community, because you saw the pictures of all these poor people leaving their homes in the middle of the night and becoming refugees again. So this is the problem. This is not the first war or the second war or the third war that Hezbollah drags Lebanon into it. And the Lebanese have been saying now, especially for the last year, this is not our war anymore. We don't want wars. We want peace. And Hezbollah seems to be deaf. He doesn't understand that people are tired and they cannot do this anymore. They want to live.
Sure, and we've heard from the Lebanese government today, Prime Minister Nawaf Salam, banning Hezbollah's military activities. It's one thing to use words, but can that ban really be enforced at this stage?
You know, it's very important now to see how the government is going to implement this, because implementation is the key here. You cannot keep on talking and talking and not doing anything about it, because, you know, we saw how these weapons and what the decisions that Hezbollah has taken for the last few years, how they really brought Lebanon years back in terms of development, in terms of living standards for people, in terms of just having a normal life for the Lebanese. To continue doing things the same way, it's like the definition of insanity. So you have to be now really strong in implementation and to show people that you really mean it this time. And now they have the opportunity. This is a very big opportunity. The international community is behind the government in this. The people of Lebanon are behind the government in this, and you cannot delay it anymore, especially after hearing today from Israel that the Israelis are thinking about an operation, again, another invasion of Lebanon, and they're threatening that this operation will not end unless the threat from Lebanon ends. So this will be a disaster, another disaster for Lebanon. So it's important. Implementation is very important. And when I was reading the statement of the government, I noticed something which contradicts the first part of the statement, which the first part talks about, you know, banning Hezbollah's weapons and it's illegal, whatever. And in the second point, they talked about implementing the plan of February 2026, which limits the Hezbollah weapons to the north of Litani. You cannot do these things anymore. You cannot limit it in any. You have to delimit it all over Lebanon. You cannot anymore talk about limiting in this area or not area. Things are really dangerous now for Lebanon, and we have to change the way you are doing things.
So after some heavy losses during the course of the last 18 months, I mean, Hezbollah has been quite majorly degraded, I think it's fair to say. What would you say the current level of domestic support is for that group?
You know, you can just see from people's reaction last night. I mean, there was almost consensus in Lebanon that, no, this is not happening again. People now are tired. People are against Hezbollah in starting forever wars, and people don't want to do this anymore. And I don't think Hezbollah is getting the message, or when they get their orders, they have, you know, no power to say no. So the problem now for Hezbollah is that their community is against them. The consensus in Lebanon is against them. The international community is against them. And they have no power to have a war. So I don't understand why they want to have a war when they cannot fight a war anyway. So the only thing they're going to achieve is destroy what's left of Lebanon and of their community.
And just to be clear, if the leadership in Iran does fall, that would mean an end to Iran's financing of Hezbollah. Would that mean, do you think, therefore, the end of the group?
Yes, of course, money is very important. Cutting the finances of Hezbollah will weaken the Hezbollah further and will make it very hard for them to exert their influence in the country over their community and for buying weapons and things like that. But also more important as financial support is that the weapons have to dry out. You cannot anymore have the weapons come from Iran or from Iran's friends and proxies to Hezbollah and its infrastructure. But the problem also, Iran has to stop dealing with Hezbollah as its arm in Lebanon, and Hezbollah has to stop behaving as if it's the mouthpiece of Iran in Lebanon. This is very important. They have to behave as a Lebanese army, a Lebanese party with Lebanon's interest foremost in their mind and in their actions. They cannot continue playing the card of Iran and being the proxy of Iran in Lebanon. Lebanon has paid a very heavy price for that for over 40 years, and this has to stop.
As we were saying earlier on, Dr. Mudallali, there's been some serious setbacks for Hezbollah during the last 18 months. There was another one today. Israel says it killed Hezbollah's intelligence chief, a man by the name of Hussein Mukhaled. Do you know anything about him? Was he a significant figure?
I'm sorry, I don't know the man. I never heard of him before.
Okay. And what about the current leader of Hezbollah, Naim Qassem? The Israelis are saying he is now a target for elimination. He sounds like he could be vulnerable given Israel's track record in that country. But fair to say he's a shadow of the figure that his predecessor cut.
Yes, Naim Qassem is not Hassan Nasrallah. He doesn't have the power of Hezbollah. He doesn't have the influence that Nasrallah has over the people. He doesn't have even the religious gravitas that Nasrallah had. And so his influence is limited. People don't take him as seriously as they took Hassan Nasrallah, and his word does not have the same weight as Hassan Nasrallah had. But still, he is now the head of the party, and he is now targeted by the Israelis.
Okay. And I just wanted to know what your opinion is about the reaction in Lebanon. I know you're not there, but what you're hearing from your contacts there, the reaction to the death of Iran's supreme leader. Was it sort of along sectarian lines, or has there been some muted celebration? What's been the reaction? What's your understanding?
Yes, I just saw, reports, and I talked to people. As you said, it is along sectarian lines in some instances, but in general, the Lebanese now are very tired of the Iranian influence and role in Lebanon. So they, some people are very happy that maybe now the influence of Iran will lessen more on Lebanon. But what I saw that not everybody was shedding tears over him.
Okay. I mean, from the beginning, Iran did say, if you strike us, it could spark a regional war. Does it look to you like that is the direction things could be heading in? And how does Lebanon avoid getting involved?
Yes, Iran from the beginning, that's their plan, was their plan to cultivate these proxies around the Middle East, because they were preparing them for a moment like this, because Iran believes that now if it expands the war, if it makes it costly for all the region and for the United States and its allies, that they will stop the war and this will save the regime. But I think their situation now is so dire in Iran, and now we just heard the Secretary of Defense talking about having air superiority over Iran, and the President of the United States saying they have not even started hitting the big one. He said the big one is coming. So we are really heading to a very big confrontation, and the head of the chair of the Joint Chief of Staff said they are sending more personnel to the region, which means we are heading to a stronger, bigger confrontation now. So I think Iran, with all the proxies that they have, it proved that these proxies could not defend Iran and could not help Iran at this moment.
So
they could not help themselves.
Do you see Lebanon being sucked into such a conflict in the event that there is broad spillover?
Well, I'm hoping now, after what happened today, that there will be more quiet in Lebanon, and that the decision not to intervene in the situation is being upheld. This also, we have to not forget the other side. We have to, the Prime Minister today, he called on the guarantors of the ceasefire to ask Israel to stop its attacks in Lebanon, and he said that Lebanon is willing to restart the negotiations with civilians in the negotiations, which this was a veto by Hezbollah. Hezbollah did not want to have civilians participating in the negotiations. So the Prime Minister now is breaking ranks also with that, and he's saying we're going to have civilians participating. So this is now also the ball in the court of Israel. Israel has to give Lebanon a breather, so the government and the Lebanese who are against Hezbollah, who want to have a different path to the future, to start, doing things and moving forward in a peaceful way. Because if they invade now, this will strengthen Hezbollah's argument that Israel is really interested in destroying Lebanon.
Okay, well, we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. We're going to have to leave next. We're out of time. Thank you so much, Dr. Amal Mudallali.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, madam.